my past life, the extreme cold doomsday arrived. People killed each other for food and clothes. I was pushed off the train by my scumbag ex, and froze to death. Fortunately, I was reborn 1 month before the doomsday came, and awakened a train system with unlimited storage space for supplies. I need to stockpile supplies as soon as possible, to survive the upcoming end of the world. Right now, I'm staying at my ex-boyfriend's house. His home is deep in the mountains, hundreds of kilometers away from the city. To get away from this scumbag, I lied to him, saying I had a multi-million-dollar business deal waiting for me. Hearing he could make money, the scumbag immediately agreed to let me leave. I then set off and found my best friend who helped me in my previous life. This time, I will keep her and her family alive. I told her everything about my rebirth and the coming doomsday, but she thought I was just daydreaming. To prove it, I instantly put the small toy in front of me into my spatial storage. Only then did my best friend finally believe me. She gathered her family to discuss how to prepare for the doomsday. The top priority was to raise money to stock up on supplies. I mortgaged my house in the city, and took out multiple loans. After raising a huge sum of money, I started buying supplies frantically, loading truck after truck of goods into my train storage space. Just then, my ex-boyfriend called.
With Feng Lang here, stocking up on supplies goes without saying.
You guys stock up in half a month and I'll come back to store everything in my space. Now, I'm heading back to the city to mortgage my house. I'll try to buy as much as I can.
But why only half a month? Isn't there still a month left before the return trip?
I was caught off guard for a moment.
Don't ask questions you shouldn't.
I told Tong Tong the specifics of what happened in my past life, but with her family, I wasn't too clear. But after thinking it over, I said,
You tell them. Be clear about it, so everyone knows what to expect, and can guard against those bad people.
Back in the city, I went straight to the bank and a real estate agency, mortgaged my house for a loan, and got a sizable amount of cash. The moment I got the money, a feeling of indescribable relief welled up in my heart. When I was trapped in my past life, food and supplies were desperately scarce, and there were all sorts of dangers, but this time, I can prepare everything in advance and take complete control. Next, I started shopping like crazy. Food and drink are the basic necessities, so rice, flour, oil, and grains are essential. My space has a total of 16 train cars. I plan to use 10 of them for storing food. No time to waste. First, I rented a huge warehouse, bought out the rice, flour, oil, and grains from several stores, then got some vegetables and canned goods. Of course, seasonings are also needed. Besides eating to survive, we need to eat well. As for water, bottled water is the obvious choice. It's just that water takes up a lot of space. It's a bit bulky. I sighed. But since it's extreme cold, as long as there's heat in the train cars, we can drink melted snow. Watching truckloads of goods delivered from supermarkets and warehouses to the temporary warehouse I rented filled me with immense satisfaction. At night, when there were few people around, I entered the warehouse and started storing the supplies in my space. Then, a mechanical voice sounded in my mind.
Energy conversion module unlocked. The train can absorb the extreme cold energy from the outside and convert it into heating and lighting, keeping the car temperature constant at 20 degrees Celsius.
I was amazed. So the electricity problem is nothing to worry about. Food has already filled 2 train cars, but it's far from enough. I continued shopping. That's when Fang Qidong called me.
Jojo, where are you?
I was getting a bit impatient.
Didn't I say I'm at Tong Tong's house?
Really? But a friend of mine said they saw you in City B.
My heart skipped a beat.
After thinking about it, I asked, What do you mean? You don't believe me? Fang Qidong, how come I don't even have this little freedom now?
No, I'm just worried something might happen to you. Jojo, I care about you.
I scoffed. You care about my money? I take a deep breath, trying to soften my tone. I know, but Tong Tong just had a breakup. I just want to spend more time with her.
Then when will you come back?
About half a month.
So long? No. Jojo, what are you doing? I came back early so you could spend more time with my parents. Now you're doing this. You're really wasting all my effort. Are my parents, your future in-laws, more important than your friend?
I'm also a bit angry. Fang Qidong, if that's the case, then let's just break up. Anyway, I promised Tong Tong I'd stay with her for half a month. Originally, I tolerated him just to get revenge on his whole family. Now I think, if I have to keep swallowing my anger just for revenge, then forget it. In this new life, my own survival is the priority. After all, in that extreme cold apocalyptic world, they probably won't survive long anyway. I hang up the phone directly. Soon, Fang Qidong calls again. Of course, he invested so much up front, even borrowing from online lenders. How could he give up on his cash cow? Fang Qidong on the phone speaks very humbly.
Sorry Jojo, I was wrong earlier. I apologize. I just wanted my parents to like you. It's for our future too. Jojo, I promise, I'll talk to my parents properly. You're so smart and beautiful, they'll definitely like you.
Since Fang Qidong is determined to seek death, I don't mind giving them a proper send-off. So, I softened my tone. But no matter what, I promised Tong Tong I have to stay with her. And after we get married, we'll bring your parents to live in the city. Then, we'll have plenty of time to get along. Isn't that just painting a rosy picture? Who can't do that? Hearing me say this, Fang Qidong's voice is extremely excited.
Okay. After you've had your fun, I'll pick you up.
My voice is sweet.
Sure.
After hanging up, I need to keep stocking up. What I've bought so far only fills up 2 train cars. So, for the rest of the time, all I did was shop, nothing else. Of course, I also started a WeChat group. It's just me, Tong Tong, and Feng Lung.
Stock up on some medicine. The pharmacies in our small town aren't very well stocked.
Many places are snowed in now, so logistics here have stopped too.
I replied, okay. I went to the pharmacy. What kind of medicine should I buy? Basic cold medicine, painkillers, and anti-inflammatory drugs are must-haves. Even though it's extreme cold, if too many people die, bacteria will inevitably grow. Alcohol, masks, protective suits, and the like are also essential. For winter, frostbite cream, anti-crack hand cream, lip balm, and such should also be prepared. Also some band-aids, bandages, styptic powder, tourniquets, sterile cotton balls, iodine, topical antibiotic ointment, burn ointment, bruise and sprain ointment, fever reducers, antiviral medication, oral antibacterial drugs, antibiotic tablets, anti-inflammatory suppositories, stomach medicine, antihistamines for allergies, and some basic medicine for kids or the elderly. I even bought some long shelf life oral vitamins, iron and zinc supplements, anti-diarrheal medicine, antidotes, eye drops, ear drops, and basic injectable solutions and emergency injections just in case. Anyway, I have plenty of money, and there's still space. Of course, buying a lot of food won't raise any eyebrows, but buying too much medicine at one store could make people suspicious. So, I went to almost every pharmacy in City B before I had enough stocked up. Next, I need to buy some pots, pans, and dishes. For cooking and eating, they're a must. Buying these wasn't too much trouble. I just grabbed a few sets. Then, cold weather clothes and gear, and some other daily necessities. Based on my talks with Tong Tong and the others, their supplies should fill about 2 train cars, so I'm keeping that space reserved. Looking at all these packed supplies, I'm absolutely thrilled. Then, the mechanical voice in my head chimed in one after another.
Production cycle module unlocked. Place food seeds and medicinal herbs in the module for cultivation and regeneration. Water purification system unlocked. Can purify snow and wastewater, providing a continuous supply of drinking water. Defense system unlocked. Designated train cars form a defensive barrier. Unauthorized entry is impossible.
I'm surprised. So I don't have to worry about water anymore. And it can even recycle. Looks like I can grow my own rice, flour, and vegetables. And, my biggest worry, security, now has a barrier too. Perfect. I've spent almost all my money. 2 weeks have flown by. I returned to Tong Tong's place. Seeing all their supplies in the room, I felt much more secure.
I'm giving all these supplies to you.
I smiled and nodded. With a casual gesture, all the stuff in the room vanished into thin air, instantly leaving only a clean space. After all this trick, I've only shown this to Tong Tong.
So did all these things go into your space?
They can only be retrieved on the Flying Eagle.
Are you sure?
Of course the system wouldn't lie to me, right?
But right after saying that, I started feeling a bit unsure. After all, I haven't tested it. I took out my phone.
Let me see if there are any tickets available soon.
This is a train ticket for the Flying Eagle to City B. You can go and test the space function.
I took the ticket. I felt a slight tremor in my heart. I didn't expect him to be so thorough. Nodded.
Okay.
Fenglang drove me. Tong Tong came along too. Arrived at the train station, Fenglang planned to go with me.
It's freezing cold. It's not safe for a girl to travel alone. I can protect you if I go with you.
Right, Jojo. If anything happens, just order him around.
After saying that, he drove away. I felt a warmth in my heart and didn't refuse. The cold wind pierced through. I tightened my coat.
The weather is getting colder.
Yeah, my hometown has been without power for a day.
It hasn't been out for so long in over 10 years, right?
Oh, it's in the mountains. The heavy snow damaged the lines. You don't know. My dad said the snow was as high as a 5 or 6-year-old child.
We often get rain in our area. It's really strange.
I exchanged a glance with Feng Lang. We both felt a slight tension. It seems the arrival of this extreme cold had signs beforehand, but everyone just treated it as normal weather anomalies. After all, in the mountains there's heavy snow every year, but the snow melts quickly. Power outages are only occasional. Nothing major happens afterward. We quickened our pace and walked forward. A woman in a red coat appeared in my sight. She had big wavy curls. She dressed lightly in the winter, revealing her long legs, making passers-by look at her frequently. I stared intently at that woman. My gaze was somewhat cold.
You know her?
Yes, Huang Chaoer, the woman my boyfriend cheated with. Also his colleague.
In my past life, she and Fang Qidong pushed me off the train together. I thought they met by chance on the train. Apparently not. Probably planned it. Having an affair. Very thrilling, huh? This time, I'll make it even more thrilling for them.
Let's go.
Now is not the time to settle scores with that scumbag couple. It's almost New Year's now. There are few people heading towards City B. In this huge carriage, besides me and Feng Lang, there are only a handful of others. I sat by the window. Feng Lang sat by the aisle. He's tall and big, with broad shoulders. He can block others' view from me. With a thought, I summoned a pack of instant noodles.
It's truly amazing.
I continued to put the noodles back into the space. After doing this a few times, we finally confirmed on this train, the space can indeed be used. We got off after just one stop, ready to buy tickets for the return trip. Just after buying the tickets, Fang Qidong's call came. I frowned. I forgot, he said he'd pick me up from Tong Tong's house today.
Hey Jojo, something came up last minute. I'll pick you up tomorrow.
I sneered. It hit me right then. It must be because Huang Chaoer came. I never imagined they'd be this inseparable. They can't even let go of each other for a second. I remember in my past life, Fang Qidong went away for a few days before the new year too, saying he was helping a friend. He left me alone to face his parents' passive-aggressive remarks and sarcasm. I never imagined the truth was that he was having an affair with Huang Chaoer. If you two love each other so much in your past life, why did you want to marry me? Oh right, this Huang Chaoer comes from an average family. She has 3 sisters and 1 brother. They're all waiting for the girls to marry for bride price money to build a house for their brother. Where would they have any money?
Wanna go watch a show?
I looked at him confused. He said with a smile,
In the town nearest to Fang Qidong's village, there are only 4 or 5 hotels. If those two want to meet, they'll definitely choose one of them. Don't you want to make them pay a little?
I was stunned. What do you mean? Feng Lang took out his phone and made a call.
I have a friend in that very town. He knows the place well.
In less than half an hour, Feng Lang's friend had the information. He called Fang Qidong.
Fang Qidong, you're in room 312 at the Ruyi Hotel, right? I know you, Jojo. If you don't want me to call her right now, hand over $50,000.
Fang Qidong on the other end of the line was clearly panicking.
Who are you? What do you want?
Feng Lang sneered.
I've taken some photos. Do you want you, Jojo, to see them? $50,000. Don't be late. 50,000? Are you crazy?
Fang Qidong's voice rose several octaves. Feng Lang's expression was calm.
Fine, then I'll call you Jojo right now.
Finally, Fang Qidong's voice came through, gritting his teeth.
Fine, I'll transfer the money. I want cash. Then who do I give it to? Someone will come to pick it up.
I hang up, he said.
Consider it compensation for your distress.
I shook my head. No need, give it to your friend. Feng Lang hesitates. I said, just say what's on your mind. He takes a deep breath and asks me.
My friend was kicked out by his brother and sister-in-law. He's all alone. I was wondering if he could join us on the train.
I think for a moment and ask, is he reliable? As reliable as you and your sister? Feng Lang nodded.
Yeah, he saved my life once. Don't worry, I'll protect you. If he tries anything, I'll be the first to take care of him.
That's the least of my concerns. In my past life, Feng Lang and his family were always looking out for me. And with so many unpredictable people on the train, I really do need some allies. Heaven gave me a second chance, and this space too, not just to survive selfishly on my own, probably to save some innocent people as well. I don't know if it's because of Feng Lang's phone call, but the next day Fang Qidong said everything was taken care of and he'd come pick me up, but then changed his mind, saying he'd come in a few days. I look at Feng Lang. What happened? He said.
My friend took a dislike to him, beat him up, and probably landed him in the hospital.
I see. Fang Qidong was probably afraid about his injuries. I would ask all sorts of questions, so he's putting off picking me up. Anyway, another week passes. During that week, besides continuing to stock up on supplies bit by bit, we also made a lot of contingency plans for what might happen on the train. Then Fang Qidong got out of the hospital and came to pick me up. Tong Tong sighs.
Ugh, why do you have to go back? Can't you just leave them be? After all, Fang Qidong will be on that return train anyway.
I shake my head. Not necessarily. After all, he lost his job. If it weren't for tricking me, he wouldn't be going back then.
Even better. If things are really as you say, who knows how long they'll last?
Let's leave it at that. I'm afraid making too many changes might alter the course of events from my past life, and that wouldn't be good. Under Tong Tong's reluctant gaze, I get into Fang Qidong's car.
Jojo, did you miss me? I missed you so much.
The car had just started moving and Fang Qidong was already getting all mushy. I couldn't help but think, how did I ever fall for such a disgusting man? And we dated for so many years. I guess I was just starved for love. I forced a smile.
What kind of help does your friend need that's taking you so long?
Fang Qidong got nervous, and the car started to wobble a bit.
It's a bit of a long story.
Oh, then don't say it.
I didn't dwell on the topic any further. A few hours later, I was back at Fang Qidong's house. His parents' expressions still weren't great, but at least they didn't place blame. The next day, after I apologized to Fang's mother and gave her a red envelope, she finally smiled, but her tone still carried a condescending air of doing me a favor.
That's more like it. A woman's temperament should be gentle and obedient. Men are busy outside, so women should keep the home in order. Don't talk back all the time. Your duty is to make Chidong's life easier. Remember, a wife must learn to endure and yield to her husband's family. Only then can you have peace. You need to understand, a woman's whole life, the most important thing is to serve her man well and raise the children properly.
I nodded, holding back my anger. Then I asked,
How many cotton quilts do we have left at home? I just went out earlier and heard someone at the village entrance is buying old cotton for 500 a pound.
Fang's mother was shocked.
What did you say? 500?
Fang's father, who had just entered the kitchen, also asked,
What 500?
I said seriously,
Right at the village entrance, someone's buying old cotton for 500 a jin, saying their old folks can't get used to new bedding. How could old bedding be more comfortable than new?
I looked completely baffled. Mother Fang was taken aback, her brows furrowed, and she snorted impatiently.
What do you know? Some folks are just used to old quilts. They get properly compacted after long use. That's how you sleep well. You youngsters, you just don't get it.
Father Fang was utterly confused. He followed up, Really?
Who'd pay 500 for old cotton these days? Could it be a scam?
We'll know if we go check.
With that, Mother Fang put down her bowl and chopsticks, hastily threw on a jacket, and headed out. Not long after, she came running back, panting, her eyes sparkling with excitement.
It's true. Someone's counting out cash on the spot. Hurry, get all the quilts out of the house.
Hearing this, Father Fang cast aside his doubts, rolled up his sleeves right away, and started hauling out the heavy cotton clothes and old quilts from the cabinet in one go. Fang Chidong and his younger brother, Fang Chiming, also started hauling things under their parents' urging. The sound of rummaging through drawers and cabinets filled the house, a chaotic cacophony. Soon, the whole family, like triumphant soldiers, carried bundles of cotton toward the village entrance. I stood on the threshold, quietly watching their retreating figures, sneering inwardly. You really think money grows on trees? This is just a trap I set. Sure enough, they returned shortly, beaming, holding a thick stack of cash. Mother Fang's face lit up with a smile, even the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes smoothing out.
Who knew such good fortune existed in this world? We've hit the jackpot.
Father Fang also nodded happily, saying,
This money comes faster than farming. Should have cleared it out sooner.
The whole family was overjoyed, completely unaware that anything was amiss. I lowered my gaze, a faint, almost imperceptible smile curling at the corner of my lips. The money is real, but this windfall will make them pay the price sooner or later. Fang Qiming scratched his head and muttered quietly,
But we sold all our quilts. What are we going to cover ourselves with tonight?
Fang Qidong also frowned.
Yeah, it's freezing. I could go buy some in town.
Father Fang shook his head.
There are only a few shops in our town. None of them sell quilts. You'd have to go to the city to buy one.
Then what are we supposed to do? Mom, really, how could you sell all the quilts?
Yeah, we'll freeze tonight.
Mother Fang's face darkened.
Such a small thing. Why make such a fuss? Just borrow a few from the neighbors. We'll buy new ones in the city after the new year.
I said flatly, I don't sleep under quilts that other people have used. Hearing this, Mother Fang immediately rolled her eyes, full of disdain.
Why are you so fussy? Borrowing them for a few days isn't like taking a dowry. What's with all the rules?
I looked innocent and added slowly, I already rented one from a family in the village, a brand new one. It's clean. I'll use it for a few days and return it. Mother Fang was taken aback, her face instantly turning gloomy. She sneered coldly.
Too much money to burn. What a waste.
I chuckled softly, but didn't explain further. At night, the cold wind howled. The village was silent, with only the occasional bark of a dog from the courtyard, making it feel even more desolate. Just as I was about to turn off the light and rest, the door was gently pushed open a crack. Fang Qidong poked his head in and called softly.
Zhou.
My heart sank, but I pretended not to know. It's so late, what is it? He came in, looking hesitant. He steeled himself and said,
I want to sleep with you tonight. It's so cold. It'll help warm up the bed.
I immediately stood up, my expression cold. No. Didn't your mom say even though you're at the man's house, if you're not married, men and women must sleep separately? It'll ruin the feng shui. His face stiffened.
Isn't this a special circumstance?
I firmly refused. Fang Qidong had to leave in disappointment. After he left, I quietly opened my phone. While his family was out selling quilts, I had already installed the surveillance cameras I bought in City B. After I leave here, I want to see how these people end up. New Year's Eve. The food on Fang Chidong's family table wasn't lavish, just 4 dishes and soup for 4 people. The meat dish was an old hen raised at home. It wasn't stewed well. I didn't even want to look at it.
For the New Year's Eve dinner, what matters is the family reunion, not how lavish it is. When we were poor before, we didn't have so many dishes. Being able to sit together was the blessing. Women need to know how to live frugally. Don't always crave fancy delicacies. Being thrifty brings lasting fortune. Young people like you should learn to be content. Don't compare everything with others.
Fang's mom really lectures me anytime, anywhere. I pretended not to hear anything. I ate a few bites and went back to my room. Soon after, suddenly there was sound from the surveillance. His family was secretly eating the big feast they prepared earlier, so they just don't want me to eat alone. I've never seen such awful people. Luckily, I'll be heading back in 2 days. Yes, City B's work resumption this year is earlier than usual, because City B is hosting a major sports event. All businesses and units need to resume work early. Of course, Fang Chidong won't miss out on the red envelope money. On the surveillance, Fang's mom told Fang Chidong,
Remember, after you go back this time, you must get the marriage certificate. You need to get her money, your brother needs to marry, your dad and I depend on you for our retirement.
I couldn't watch anymore. I turned off the surveillance and went to sleep. On the day we returned to City B, I returned the rented quilt to that family and gave them a few $100 extra. They praised me endlessly. I and Fang Chidong arrived at the train station to wait. The place was packed. I felt a bit reflective. No one knows this train is a doomsday train, but whether they take this train or not, for many people, the apocalypse would still leave them helpless.
Why is it a business class seat?
I pulled out a train ticket. I'm in business class. You're not. In the waiting hall, the noisy announcements echoed one after another. Fang Chidong stared blankly at the ticket in my hand, his face instantly falling.
What do you mean?
I gave a faint smile and replied lazily, I think business class is more comfortable, so I bought it.
If it's so comfortable, why didn't you think of me? Why didn't you buy one for me, too?
He lowered his voice with a hint of reproach.
I shrugged, my tone nonchalant. There should still be seats available now. You can buy one yourself or pay to upgrade.
Jojo, do you have to be so clear-cut between us? And you're spending money so recklessly. If my parents find out, they'll definitely be unhappy. They already have a bad impression of you. If it weren't for me pleading your case, they wouldn't even want you to spend the new year with us. Coming to my house before we're married, the neighbors will gossip.
Even though I knew Fang Chidong's true nature, hearing such twisted words still made me furious. They were the ones who invited me, and they sounded so sincere. Now, he makes it sound like I'm shamelessly clinging to them. Besides, his neighbors are much nicer than his family. At least the family I rented the quilt from, when they found out I was the Fang family's intended, their expressions were hesitant, as if they wanted to say something. They said that the Fang family marrying someone like me is their good fortune. I sneered, a flicker of mockery in my eyes. Whether they're happy or not, what's that got to do with me? Fang Chidong was taken aback by my retort. His face flushed red, but he still stubbornly followed me. He nervously pressed on.
What do you mean? Are you still holding a grudge against my parents? They only had your best interests at heart.
Ha, I couldn't be bothered with him. I just found an empty seat in the waiting area and sat down. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the news. Everywhere, there were reports of heavy snow, transportation disruptions, even highways and airports shutting down. But right now, everyone was caught up in the joy, completely unaware this snow would never end. Many netizens were even marveling, saying they hadn't seen snow like this in years. People all over were enthusiastically joining in, and streets and alleys were filled with all sorts of quirky snowmen. Some were adorably clumsy, others were wildly exaggerated, some even meticulously sculpted dragons and castles, their skill rivaling an art exhibit. Fang Chidong, however, wouldn't let up. He kept droning on in my ear, but his tone gradually softened a bit.
Jojo, let it go for now. But in the future, after we get married, you can't be this willful. We need to save money. You're being way too wasteful.
I'd had enough. I looked up and snapped coldly. This is my money. I'll spend it however I want. You're overstepping. Fang Chidong's face darkened, clearly put on the spot and embarrassed. But with people coming and going all around, he didn't dare make a scene. He just stood there, frozen. An awkward silence fell. Suddenly, a clear, bright voice came from the crowd.
Jojo.
I was startled and instinctively looked up. A tall man with sharp, cold features appeared before us. It was Feng Lang. Fang Chidong turned and saw who it was. His brows furrowed instantly. Feng Lang walked over to me with a smile. His expression was calm.
What a coincidence. You're waiting for the train here too? Where are you headed?
I smiled at him. Heading to City B. He raised an eyebrow, glanced at my ticket. His smile deepened.
What a coincidence. Our seats are pretty close in the same car.
Fang Chidong's expression grew even uglier. He asked, suppressing his anger.
Who are you?
Feng Lang leisurely extended his hand.
I'm a friend of Jojo's, Feng Lang.
Fang Qidong wanted to say more. The boarding announcement suddenly started playing. The waiting hall immediately became restless. Everyone got up and started lining up. We followed the crowd toward the gate. Fang Qidong got anxious. He stuck close behind me, his steps almost touching my shadow. Seeing this, Feng Lang took advantage of the crowded crowd and stepped in front of me, casually nudging Fang Qidong aside.
Keep your distance. Don't get in people's way.
Feng Lang and I chatted quietly by the gate, talking like old friends. I asked him, "What about your sister and the others?" Feng Lang glanced toward the other side of the station. He said calmly,
They're at the gate across the way. My sister sent me over to keep an eye on you. Make sure those jerks don't get any ideas.
I thought Tong Tong was worrying for nothing. Fang Qidong and I haven't had a falling out. He can't really do anything. The snow fell heavier and heavier, like 1,000 horses galloping across the sky. Everyone on the platform was bundled up tight.
This snow is really something this year.
Yeah, it's been going for days now. When will it stop?
Could it turn into a snow disaster?
I thought to myself, more than a disaster, it's a calamity, the end of humanity. The ticket checker verified each ticket. We boarded the train one by one. Fang Qidong followed me into the business class section. He looked around. It really was different, surprisingly upscale. Then he spotted Tong Tong.
What are you doing here?
Is it wrong for me to take my parents to City B for a trip? And you, where's your seat? Hurry up and leave. Don't disturb our rest.
Tong Tong and I had made arrangements in advance. The 6 of us all together occupied 2 connected business class sections. Fang Qidong stammered on the side but was interrupted by Feng Lang.
If you don't leave now, we'll call the train police.
Fang Qidong was stunned by those words, his face growing even darker, but he also knew that causing a scene in front of everyone wasn't worth it. In the end, he could only take a step back. He looked at me.
Jojo.
I looked out the window, ignoring him. Seeing this, the business class attendant stepped forward and politely asked Fang Qidong to leave. He was so angry he was practically grinding his teeth, but he could only swallow his rage, muttering threats under his breath.
Jojo, there's a limit to throwing a tantrum. If you don't apologize, I think we should call off the wedding.
With that, he turned and left. Finally, peace returned to the carriage. I sneered. He's still threatening me now? Please, the money's not even in his hands, yet he's putting on such airs. Probably my usual dependence on him gave him the wrong idea. The carriage was as warm as spring. Tong Tong had already taken off her coat and squeezed in next to me.
That scumbag really has no shame.
As the train started moving, outside the window, snowflakes were like scraps of paper torn by the wind, one after another, covering the dark tracks and the distant treetops. Outside, the wind was biting cold. Inside the carriage, warm air hummed, shielding us from the raging snowstorm. I leaned my head back against the seat. Outside the window, the white grew thicker and thicker, as if slowly swallowing the world. But I knew the real storm was just beginning. I took out my phone and invited Tong Tong to join me.
Let me show you a good show.
I switched my phone to the surveillance feed. Inside the house, Fang Qidong's parents and Fang Qiming were gathered around a pile of straw. The room was filled with smoke, and the firelight reddened everyone's faces.
Are they burning straw inside the house? That must be for heating, right?
I chuckled and explained the whole story to her. That's right, I orchestrated it so they'd sell their winter clothes and bedding. Tong Tong clapped her hands in admiration.
Your scheme is brilliant. How are they going to survive this winter?
But I'm also puzzled. Shouldn't they be burning coal or charcoal? Why are they using only straw? Do they have none at all? On the surveillance feed, Fang Qiming spoke up.
Mom, it's all your fault for swapping the charcoal and coal for bedding to sell to that guy. And what happened? Others heard they could sell at a high price and snatched back the winter clothes and bedding, only returning some straw as a substitute for the coal.
Fang's mother immediately started wailing and lamenting.
Wasn't I doing it for your sake? Don't you need money to get married? When I did this, who objected? Now look, you're blaming me.
Fang Qiming's face flushed red with anger.
Mom, if you hadn't profited so greedily from the price difference, would this have happened? They were buying at 500 per pound. You bought from others at 100 per pound.
Fang's father was forced to intervene at this point.
Alright, stop arguing. What should we do now? Can we buy some from others? Even at a high price, otherwise how will we survive the winter?
Fang's mother shook her head.
No way, they'll definitely ask for a lot of money. I'm not willing to do that. Money we worked so hard to earn. How can we just give it away like that? We'll just tough it out. We'll get through this winter.
Fang Qiming won't have it.
Mom, where's the money hidden? I'll go find it.
Mother Fang quickly tries to stop him.
What are you doing?
Fang Qiming completely ignores her. He charges straight into his room. Soon he comes out with the money and rushes out of the house. Mother Fang sits on the floor, wailing.
Oh my god, I don't want to live anymore. I did it all for your own good. And this is how you treat me?
Tong Tong and I watch the surveillance feed of the 3 of them fighting. We can't help but laugh. Tong Tong pats my shoulder.
Oh my gosh, Jojo, you are so lucky. If you hadn't been reborn, you'd have married into that family for sure. Just thinking about those days, it's terrifying.
I sigh. Even without the apocalypse in my past life, marrying into a family like that meant living in constant chaos every day. In the end, they bled me dry. My fate probably wouldn't have been much better than being pushed off the train. But now, everything is different. I'm going to watch them closely, see what becomes of that family in this life. The winter clothes were just the appetizer. The storm that's coming, they won't be able to stop it.
Jojo, have you noticed? The train is slowing down.
I nod. It's going to slow down even more, until the entire train is completely stuck.
What about the people on the train? Will they die?
I don't know how to answer. Since it's the apocalypse, naturally, a lot of people will die. In my past life, I was one of them.
Sis, even if you told them, they wouldn't believe you. They just think you're a nuisance. And besides, about you being bound to the train, you can't just go around telling people. People's hearts are hard to predict. Who knows what they might do then?
I pulled up the seat surveillance footage of Fang Qidong again. When I bought the train ticket in advance, I had Feng Lang install a hidden camera. The person sitting with him was actually Huang Qiaoe. They were actually sitting together so brazenly. I don't know what happened, but they both looked upset. Huang Qiaoe lowered her voice and demanded,
Fang Qidong, when are you going to pay me back that 50,000?
What 50,000?
Cut the crap. That guy called to blackmail you before, threatening to tell you Joju about us. You said you have no money, so I covered the 50,000 for you.
So that's it. The 50,000 Feng Lang made him pay earlier was actually given by Huang Qiaoe.
Calm down. Once I marry Joju, her money will be my money. Then, forget 50,000, I'll give you 500,000.
You're really that sure she'll marry you? Didn't you say she's been ignoring you since she moved to the business class section?
Relax, I'll post something on social media later. Jojo will come running back to me soon. Her? She's just being childish. A little coaxing is all it takes.
Where do you get this confidence from?
Her parents are dead. She has no one to rely on. Who else can she turn to but me? I've been with her for 5 years. I know her personality. She's always been tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. She'll give in after a little fuss.
It better be. I borrowed that 50,000 from a loan shark.
Are you insane? From a loan shark?
What else was I supposed to do? You were in such a hurry back then. Where was I supposed to get 50,000 in cash? If it wasn't for helping you, would I have gone this far?
I'll pay you back the principal, but forget about the interest. Who told you to borrow from loan sharks?
If you don't pay up, I'll go find you Joju right now and tell her everything.
You dare?
The two started blaming each other, their voices growing louder and louder. Watching this man and woman tear into each other on the monitor, I couldn't help but sneer. They're truly a match made in heaven, both willing to do anything for money. And besides, where does Fang Qidong get off thinking I'd go back to him? Then he posted a moment on social media. I opened my phone and saw it. He'd unexpectedly run into a friend. What a coincidence. The photos showed the snowy landscape outside the train, and a picture of him with Huang Qiaoe. He used to get too close to Huang Qiaoe, and I was jealous because of it. To manipulate me, he used to deliberately praise her, and later, to prove his loyalty, he even deleted Huang Qiaoe. Now posting something like this is just to make me jealous. But Fang Qidong is way too confident. After learning his true colors, how does he think I'd ever go back to him? On the monitor, he said to Huang Qiaoe with a smug look,
Don't worry, in less than 10 minutes, Joju will definitely come back to me.
The nerve. No money, no talent, no looks, yet so average and so confident.
Right at that moment, the train came to a complete stop. On the monitor, everyone was talking.
What's going on? Are we at the station?
Look, the snow is already so thick.
Oh my god, the tracks seem to be flooded.
Where is this? How much longer does city be?
There's not even a house in sight around here. It looks really desolate.
At that moment, the conductor's announcement came over the speakers.
Due to a sudden blizzard causing severe snow accumulation on the tracks, the train has stopped running. The outside temperature has plummeted to -50 degrees. To avoid frostbite and accidents, please remain in your seats and wait for rescue.
Tong Tong looks a bit pale. She gasps.
-50 degrees. That's terrifying. At this temperature, people can't survive outside for long.
I look at the snow accumulating outside the window. I take a deep breath.
We'll just have to take it one step at a time. The network and signal can still hold up for a while. Probably for 2 or 3 days, but we need to be mentally prepared. If no rescue team really comes, there'll definitely be thugs in the train carriages starting to rob.
When people are desperate, they can do anything.
Feng Lang adds solemnly. I glance around the business class area and say thankfully.
Luckily, our 2 business class carriages are right at the very end of the train. They're relatively isolated.
As I speak, I activate the system's defense function. I designate these 2 carriages as the defense zone. Defense system activated. Defense barrier formed in designated carriages. Unauthorized individuals cannot force entry. A mechanical voice echoes in my mind. I tell everyone.
The defense barrier is now active. Theoretically, outsiders can't get in now.
Feng Lang says.
Among the supplies they bought earlier, there are some self-defense weapons. Take some out and distribute them to everyone.
I nod. I also retrieve some equipment from the space. A few telescopic batons, electric shock devices, and anti-cut gloves, and a few daggers. Even though we have the system's protection, it's still good to be prepared.
One set per person.
I distribute the weapons to everyone. The door of the neighboring business class carriage is pushed open. Tong Tong's parents and Feng Lang's friend Chen Shi walk over quickly. Their faces are full of worry.
Jojo, the situation outside.
Mom Jo Chu has everything arranged. It's safe here.
Tong Tong reassured. I look at Chen Shi.
Could you take Uncle and Auntie back to the next carriage to rest? If anything happens, we'll notify you immediately.
Chen Shi nods yes. He's clearly a sensible person.
I understand. I'll take care of them.
Then they leave. Tong Tong looks outside.
The snow is getting heavier.
After they leave, I open my laptop and pull up the surveillance footage I installed earlier. One screen shows Fang Qidong's carriage, another shows the carriage near the business class area, so we can know anytime who approaches this area. Fang Qidong's carriage is already in chaos. Some are calling, some are looking for attendants, and there's children crying. I shake my head. This is just the beginning. At least the train's original power system can maintain the temperature for an hour. After that, the temperature inside will drop sharply. That's when the real nightmare begins.
Fang Qidong seems to be coming towards us.
Feng Lang points at the screen. Indeed, Fang Qidong in the surveillance stands up. He's making a call and walking towards the business class area. Wang Chaoer follows closely behind him. Both look anxious. I sneer.
Perfect timing. We can test if the defense system actually works.
We three pick up our weapons and cautiously walk to the door at the carriage junction. Even with the system's protection, no one dares to relax completely. Through the glass window on the door, we can see the situation in the connecting carriage. My phone keeps ringing. It's Fang Qidong calling. About 10 minutes later, we see on the surveillance Fang Qidong gets thrown back as he approaches our carriage. He falls heavily to the ground. We three look at each other and can't help but relax a bit. The defense barrier really works. Fang Qidong gets up, a bit incredulous. He walks towards our compartment again, gets thrown back again.
What the hell?
Some people from nearby compartments are also watching him curiously. Fang Qidong refuses to accept it. He tries several times, with the same result each time. He pulls Wang Chaoer over.
You try.
The result is predictable. Fang Qidong is shouting outside.
Jojo, Jojo, come out. The train has stopped. Snow has blocked the tracks. Come out quickly.
I sneer. I don't want to respond to him at all. Feng Lang leans against the side, lazily says,
Stop shouting. Choo Choo has us. She'll be fine.
Fang Qidong looks resentful.
Jojo, why can't I get into your compartment? What's going on?
Feng Lang sneers.
Probably because your character is lacking.
Some people from nearby compartments see this, also refuse to accept it. One after another, they try, and get thrown back.
What's happening? Why can't we get in? Is there some high-tech feature in the business class?
Let's ask the attendant.
I'll go look for one.
Hearing their words, Tong Tong asks.
If this continues, they'll eventually notice something strange about our compartment.
I nod.
This can't be hidden. But even if they find out, what difference does it make? We're safe now.
That's true. After some time, no one found an attendant. Probably they're busy dealing with emergencies and have no time for these strange little matters. As time passes, the temperature in the compartment slowly drops. Tong Tong shrinks her neck.
I feel like it's getting colder.
At this moment, the broadcast announces again.
Due to insufficient power supply, full train heating would cause overload. We are temporarily cutting power to the heating system. Please remain calm, put on your warm clothing, look out for each other, and await further instructions.
This announcement made everyone erupt again.
Turning off the heat at minus 50 degrees? Are they trying to freeze us to death?
I don't mind the cold, but what about my child? He's only 3 years old. Oh my god, this is just our luck.
When is rescue actually coming?
Everyone, check your phones. A lot of other places are hit by the cold wave too. Many places have lost power.
At least we still have a signal and internet for now, and there's still light in the carriage. But next, not only will we have no lighting, but our food and water will run out too. We'll be in dire straits. And that's when I activated the system's energy conversion function again. A mechanical voice sounded.
Please designate the carriage for energy conversion.
I temporarily selected our 2 business class carriages. The mechanical voice announced.
Train beginning to absorb external extreme cold energy. Converting to heating and lighting. Carriage temperature stabilized at 20 degrees Celsius.
Not long after, Tong Tong took off her coat again.
It's not cold anymore. Jojo, this function of yours is amazing.
As she spoke, she patted her stomach.
I'm getting a bit hungry. Can we eat something?
I asked with a smile. What would you like to eat? She thought for a moment and said,
Can I have hot pot?
Of course. So I retrieved supplies from the system. We set up the hot pot in Tong Tong's parents' carriage, so the smell wouldn't drift out right now and rub it in everyone's face. The pot on the portable gas stove was bubbling and boiling. The rich beef tallow broth, with its strong spicy aroma, wafted into all our noses. The table was laden with dishes: fatty beef rolls, tripe, shrimp paste, hand-cut lamb, crisp baby bok choy, enoki mushrooms, and frozen tofu. From the sky, from the rivers, from the land, every kind of ingredient you could want. Tong Tong took a sip of her ice-cold cola.
So good.
A computer nearby showed live surveillance footage. It was chaotic, with people milling about, like ants scurrying on a hot pan. After we had our fill, Fang Qidong and Huang Chao, who had left at some point and returned, were leading a group of rather menacing-looking people into the carriage next to ours. They keep trying to get into our business district, but they all end up the same as Fang Qidong. Looking at them, a chill shoots from my eyes. In my past life, Fang Qidong conspired with them and harmed me. This life he's still conspiring with these people. They're cursing and complaining.
What's going on? This damn door won't budge.
They seem to be construction workers. One of them is a foreman. In my past life, they were already involved in robbery. Whether they killed or looted, I don't know. We have the curtains drawn. They think we installed some special door.
Boss, there seems to be heat here. Whoa, no wonder it's the business district. It only stops at other carriages, not the business district.
Everyone hears this and starts making noise. Soon the train police and attendants arrive. They try to come in but still fail.
What's going on? Why can't we get in? Who's inside? What's the situation?
The foreman from that group grabs Fang Qidong and pulls him forward.
He says his girlfriend is hiding inside with lots of food and drinks.
Fang Qidong nods.
Yeah, that's right.
I sneer coldly. He clearly knows nothing, yet he can talk nonsense. Doesn't he know this could kill me? Looks like to achieve his goal, he cares about nothing else. The train police and attendants block our door.
Everyone, don't act recklessly. Even if they have food, it's still their stuff. Do you want to rob them? That's illegal.
Most are ordinary people. Hearing the train police say this, they back off. But the foreman doesn't care.
Illegal? What time is it now? Still talking about law. It's minus 50 degrees outside. There's no food left on the train. We're all starving to death. Exactly. Why do they get to have food while we have to suffer here?
Another one chimed in. The foreman shoved the train officer, his tone turning even nastier.
I suggest you wise up and get out of the way, or I won't be held responsible for what happens.
The train officer straightened his back, resolutely blocking the doorway.
It's my duty to maintain order on this train. What you're doing is illegal, and I absolutely will not allow it. Maintain order? You're not maintaining anything.
The foreman shoved the train officer to the ground, and several workers immediately swarmed in. Seeing this, a train attendant rushed over to help, but was also roughly shoved aside and fell heavily onto a seat.
Everyone help!
Another train officer shouted loudly. The passengers in the carriage had mixed reactions. Some of the more timid ones fled directly to the next carriage, while some with a sense of justice stepped forward.
You've gone too far. This is lawlessness.
However, these workers were used to heavy physical labor and were very strong. Combined with their numbers, they quickly gained the upper hand. My feelings were mixed. I never expected that under these circumstances, the staff would still be dutifully maintaining order. One train officer was beaten until his head was bleeding, blood streaming down his forehead, but he gritted his teeth and refused to move, upholding the law and protecting citizens' rights. I was about to go out and help, but Feng Lang stopped me.
I'll go. You all stay inside and don't come out.
With that, he grabbed his self-defense weapon and charged out. Feng Lang distributed the stun gun and baton in his hands to the train officers and the passengers who were helping. With the weapons, the combat effectiveness of the just side instantly increased. The stun gun crackled, and several of the most aggressive workers were shocked and fell to the ground. Seeing the situation turning against him, the foreman fled with his men. The injured train officer looked seriously hurt, blood still flowing non-stop. Those who remained in this carriage were all the people who had just helped us with their actions. Seizing this opportunity, I quietly added this carriage to the defense system's range and activated the climate control. Soon the temperature inside the carriage began to rise.
I took some medicine from my space and handed it to the conductor. These are hemostatic and anti-inflammatory drugs. Let's give him some basic wound care first. The conductor took the medicine. He looked at me gratefully.
Thank you. But his wound is pretty deep. He needs a professional doctor to stitch it up.
The conductor picked up his radio and called.
Broadcasting room, this is car 3. We have an injured person here. We urgently need a doctor. Please broadcast a call for medical personnel on the train.
While waiting for the doctor to arrive, someone said curiously,
Why does it feel warmer?
Probably because we just fought. Blood circulation kicked in.
One person said,
If it's safe, I'll go get my wife and child. There's heating here now.
Feng Lang quickly grabbed him, hid by the door and said,
You can't go out.
The man was puzzled.
What do you mean?
I stepped forward and said, some things I can't explain to everyone, but once you leave, you can't come back without my permission. Everyone was stunned. Then, a voice sounded at the door.
Does car 3 need a doctor? We can't get in.
Everyone looked at each other, then looked at me. I walked to the end of the car. I saw the doctors blocked at the door. Come in. Then the 2 doctors came in. I looked at the man who fought the thugs earlier. Which one is your wife and child? He quickly called over his wife. It was a woman holding a 3-year-old child. I said to her, come in. Then she also came in. Everyone was very curious. A young boy among them was amazed.
Did you bind yourself to some kind of system?
Probably read too many novels and movies. His mind works fast. He guessed the key point right away. I didn't hide anything. I nodded. He marveled at it. Then his expression changed.
Damn. So we're not going to enter an apocalypse, right? Or some kind of catastrophe?
I nodded again. Everyone almost fainted. I reassured them. Don't worry, you helped me earlier. I'll help you too. I retrieved a huge amount of food. Let them have a full meal too. And the doctor quickly sutured the train officer's wound. He's not seriously injured, the train officer said.
Since you have such abilities, then can you?
I shook my head. I only help those I should help. Next, we'll face a long-lasting apocalypse. If I help everyone, like those people earlier, then we might not even survive. Everyone was silent. The train attendant asked.
Then can my colleagues be allowed in?
I thought about it. There are 16 carriages total. I can provide the entire train, with defense and temperature control systems. But they must pass a character screening. I won't help those people earlier. Not only won't help, I won't spare those who had conflicts with me in my past life. The young man who guessed I bound a system also nodded.
That's right. In this kind of apocalypse, random kindness is most taboo. If any of you can't stand it, you can swap 1 for 1.
I think this method is good. If anyone with a saintly heart insists on morally coercing me, let someone in, then I'll make them swap 1 for 1, see if they allow it. But the current situation is, first, gather all the train attendants and officers. Discuss how to establish a new order on the train. I'm only responsible for helping them survive. As for management and such, I don't want to bother with those, including the train conductor. There are about 8 staff members total. Soon, they entered the space under my permission. Even though some found it unbelievable, they still quickly started working. Finally, they discussed. First, they need to subdue the most dangerous thugs, but the train is full of people. Now there's no way to act, so they can only find a reason first. Gather the elderly, weak, women, and children. The train conductor quickly found a reason. The rescue train had arrived, and they would first evacuate the elderly, weak, women, and children. This has always been the standard procedure for evacuation, and most people had no objections. And upon learning that rescue was coming, those vicious construction workers stopped making trouble. After all, in a society governed by law, they aren't much of a threat. I suddenly realized that Huang Chaoer is also a woman. As for my benefits, I definitely don't want the person who harmed me in my previous life to enjoy them. After thinking it over, I called Fang Qidong. Before he could even question me, he immediately said,
the rest I won't explain right now. First, hide in carriage 16 and wait for me. Something's happened here. Don't come over.
With that, I nervously hung up the phone. Then Feng Lang also sent an anonymous message to Huang Chaoer. Don't come to the assembly area. Only by following Fang Qidong can you survive. He asked,
do you think they'll fall for it?
I shook my head.
I don't know. But regardless, I definitely won't let them enjoy even a shred of my benefits.
Later, if I just show a hint of reluctance, the others, driven by their own interests without me even needing to do anything, will take action against them. Soon, the elderly, weak, women and children gathered together. They occupied carriages 4 through 7. I checked with Tong Tong and the others, and indeed, Huang Chaoer wasn't found. She's really too clever for her own good. Step 1 is complete. The next step is to arrest the construction crew. The broadcast sounded again.
Please proceed orderly to the designated spots in your respective carriages. Our staff will register and verify identities 1 by 1 for the second evacuation.
Several strong trained police officers and helpful passengers had already prepared. They were all holding stun guns and batons that I had provided. When they reached the group of contractors, they acted swiftly.
You are now being lawfully detained for suspected violent assault on staff and threatening passenger safety.
The foreman tried to resist, but the stun gun's power instantly took him out. Seeing this, the other thugs didn't dare make a move either.
Lock them in car 16. I won't turn on the climate control there. Let them cool off,
I said coldly. They're with Fang Qidong now. Except for car 16, I've turned on the climate control everywhere else. As for the defense systems, I haven't activated them all yet. Greed knows no bounds. Who knows what'll happen next? Fang Qidong called me again.
What's going on? Jojo, aren't you coming?
I stood at the end of car 15 watching him.
I'm here.
Fang Qidong walked toward me, but couldn't get close. He lunged forward and was thrown back instantly.
What's going on?
Fang Qidong, you stay here and think about what you've done.
As a law-abiding citizen, I naturally won't resort to killing, but without food, water, or heat, how long can they last? Tongtong watched them and gave them a good scolding. When Fang Qidong learned I knew about his affair with Huang Xiaoer, he fell to his knees weeping. He begged me to save them. The construction crew said what we're doing is illegal. I ignored them. As time passed, snow piled up outside, but our eagle train remained warm as spring. Fang Qidong and the others went out with the construction crew to look for food. They ended up turning on each other and became corpses long ago. A year passed in a flash. As I rescued more people, I gradually unlocked more functions. A water purification system that can purify snow and wastewater, providing a steady supply of drinking water. A production cycle chamber that can take food seeds and medicinal herbs, cultivating and regenerating them. An external protective dome that creates a transparent energy shield around the train, forming a climate-controlled zone. And so, our living space was no longer confined to the train's interior and began to expand outward. Everyone started dividing up the work. Farming, medical care, maintenance, and defense. Everyone earns points through their labor, and points can be exchanged for food, entertainment, and other benefits. In the apocalypse, we gradually formed a small, orderly society.